Hey, y'all. Welcome to the Alliance. I'm Andrew Hayes. It's March 24th. Uh, Man, spring is here. 2 days ago, uh, down here in this lower area by the pond where I put out hay, uh, there was nothing. Yesterday, it came in green. Uh, the wheat, you might see it behind me. It's green as can be. It's popping off. We've got calves getting born, and thank goodness winter is over. Um, I don't know how they do it up north. You go up north to places, like Wisconsin, and it's still cold. It's still winter up there, and man, winter for us, for me, it didn't end a day too early. I fed every last bale of hay I had, and it wasn't the hardest winter for sure, but it sure did drag on. It seemed like for me, but out there in the news world, Trump ran. He talked about, and even as early as 2012, and then certainly when he ran in 2016, he talked about uh, non-intervention and how foolish the Iraq War was, and how we didn't need to be all over the world, uh, wasting our money. It's a wealth transfer. It's a wealth transfer, and I don't think Trump quite articulates this way, but I definitely agree with him on this, or he used to agree with me on this. I kind of wonder where he's at right now, but when we defend other countries like the UAE and these different places, I hate that my screen freezes when I get a call. Um, Listen, guys, let me just stop right there. Your support matters. The website, still not sure what the status is on that, but it's going to be the alliance.live. Um, Man, we're going to try and set up a membership, and there's a few things that would be just critical to the quality of this show. Um, not We're not trying to build $1 million studio or anything like that, but if but if we can put together some microphones and have a different phone with internet. That way, my show isn't constantly interrupted by phone calls. I can take this phone, throw it out the window, and um, get it after the show. But still, just be able to do a show without constant calls and interruptions. Um, that would be terrific. Um, anyway, so back to the idea. All right, so yeah, it's a transfer of wealth when we defend Saudi Arabia and uh, in their interests, and we defend Israel. It's a wealth transfer from Americans to foreigners, and that's not something that is approved. It's not something that's spelled out in the Constitution. We're not supposed to be doing that. We're not supposed to do wealth transfers uh, from citizen to citizen in our own country, and we're certainly not supposed to do it from citizens to foreigners in other countries. Um, you know, we need to figure out how to stop that, and that's where things like USAID. That's brilliant. That's great. Uh, it's just I can't say how great that is, but then we turn around and we spend Lord only knows how much money dropping bombs in Yemen uh, for the benefit of the Saudis and the Israelis, and the fight in Ukraine. That's not our fight, and the fight in the Middle East. That's not our fight either. Uh, you know, the the neocons. We got Marco Rubio in as Secretary of State, and And these neocons like old uh, John McCain, there was never a war that guy didn't support. Never. Going back from Korea all the way through to Vietnam and all the wars in the Middle East, Yugoslavia, Bosnia, Libya, all those, always in favor of a good fight. We wanted to bomb Iran. Uh, and I listened to Scott Horton last night and then today. It's hour and a half long podcast, and he had a guy talking about Iran and the issues going on over there and what their take is, um, that uh, that their number one goal isn't to wipe Israel off the map. That Iran has its own power dynamic and power struggle, and I still get them confused. The Sunnis and the Shias, they disagree and they fight, but Iran is one way, and then Saudi Arabia is a different way, and that they're odds, and so that's its own power struggle. They're a lot more interested in dealing with their own enemies. I mean, it seems like, and I guess like there was a time where I didn't realize this, but Iran is not an Arab country. They're not Arabs. They're Muslim, uh, but they're not the same brand of Muslim that they are in Iraq or Saudi Arabia. But then, not only that, like I said, they're not Arab. They're Persian. Uh, so it's, and then they're way far to the east of where Israel's at. Um, this idea that Iran is going to go out of its way uh, to take Israel off the map. Israel is a counterweight to Iran's own enemies within the Middle East. Uh, so it's like Iran doesn't necessarily like the Jews. They really don't necessarily like Israel, but at the same time, Israel keeps their enemies occupied and keeps the heat off of them. Um, and I didn't. I don't think I grasped all of that, um, until I listened to Scott Horton. Um, and if you don't know, Scott Horton is the guy when it comes to foreign policy. And I'm just a cowboy in Oklahoma, but that guy, he really knows his stuff. There's nobody else out there that's better on foreign policy than the great Scott Horton. Um, and so, I say all this, and we go over the Trump policy in 2016, and we talk about how there shouldn't be a wealth transfer in those things. Um, but but then what have we done in the last week? In the last week, we've gone and bombed Yemen, not Yemen, the Houthis, who have taken over Yemen. Like, the Houthis are the government now in Yemen, and it's the United States. If there's an uprising in Iraq, we're for that. But if there's an uprising in Yemen, we don't want that. But if there's an uprising in Syria, even if it's Al Qaeda that overthrows the secular uh, Assad regime, well, that's okay. We want that, and it's just nuts, and it's a never-ending uh, just tangle of alliances and intrigue and these things. Like it goes back to us backing the and the name escapes me at the moment, but we supported. Uh, I just can't quite think of the name. I'd mess it up if I tried it. Mujahideen over there in Afghanistan. So we did that, uh, and the Mujahideen, when they were fighting the Soviets, they turned around and they became the Taliban. So these are the seeds being sown today. It's and I had a very long and ultimately unproductive conversation with a dear uncle of mine. He doesn't quite get it. He thinks that somehow he thinks that I love the Houthis. Um, I don't love the Houthis. Um, I think it's based off the fact that like I express some kind of sympathy for women and children being bombed. Um, to I don't think that you need to be a partisan to condemn the bombing of women and children. That the fact that innocent women and children are killed is lamentable, not regrettable. It's not like, oh shucks, like they mean nothing. These are human beings. If you're a pro-life Christian and you believe that a unborn baby is created in the image of God and shouldn't be killed in the womb, I don't think it's a great leap to say that innocent women and children uh, that were born in Yemen shouldn't be blasted into smithereens. Um, that's. I mean, like I always say, if you disagree, uh, put it in the comments. Explain to me why. Uh, and that's the key thing here. Innocent. We're not talking about bombing enemy combatants. We haven't even made it that far. Uh, but when we drop bombs on the enemy combatants, it is innocent, and they get blown up too, and that's sad. But me saying that they're sad doesn't mean that I'm putting the interests of the Houthis. That's not it. What I'm saying is we're planting the seeds like we did in the 80s for the Mujahideen, for Osama bin Laden. We're doing the same thing today. We're bombing the people in Yemen, the Houthis, and that 20, 30 years from now, uh, there's going to be another group of radicalized people who are pissed at us, and they're going to fly planes into our buildings, and we're going to go through this whole thing again. Uh, it's real simple. The policy, so let's run through it real quick. Why are we bombing the Houthis? They attacked our ships. Why are they attacking our ships? They've said why they attack our ships. Here's the thing, guys, is there are acts of just completely senseless, random violence out there in the world, but those events are rare. Most people have a reason. There's a motive, and we see this. If you watch court TV, there's always a motive. Sometimes the motive is really dumb, but there's a motive. It's for insurance money. It's to kill the husband, to run away with a new guy. There's a motive. There's a reason behind people's actions. Um, and in the case of the Houthis, they attack our ships because the Houthis, who have been bombed relentlessly over the last 5 or 10 years by the Saudis, uh, feel a sense of uh, empathy towards the Palestinians who have been bombed uh, in the last year and a half by Israel. And so they're like, well, we're going to go attack Israeli ships. And they're attacking American ships because those bombs come from us. Both the weaponry and the money comes from us. And which, my gosh, the logic, however good the logic is, it's the exact same logic that Trump uses when he says that he's going to hold Iran responsible for the Houthis attacks on us because Iran is funding the Houthis and the Houthis attack us. Well, that's the same logic that the Houthis put on us. They say, well, Israel is bombing them and America is supporting Israel. And it's the exact same logic. Like I said, I'm not so sure about how strong or how weak the argument is, but it's the exact same argument. So if we're going to hold Iran responsible for the actions of the Houthis, then I guess it's fair that they hold us responsible for the actions of the Israelis. And if we don't want our ships attacked, maybe the easiest thing to do, the right thing to do, it's funny how that works. Sometimes the easiest thing is sometimes the right thing is the easiest, is here's what we can do. It goes back to what Trump said. We put America first. We get out of these entangling alliances. We let the rest of the world take care of itself. We put America first, America last, America only. And let the rest of the world deal with it. And you know what? The Houthis will stop attacking our ships. Or at least they would have before we killed 136 of them. And you understand that when you kill 136 people, in one bombing campaign, there's innocent people who are killed, and those innocent people who are killed have, uh, brothers and fathers and sons and uncles and cousins who are radicalized and who turn against us because those people, they were just living their lives until their loved one was blown up. But now that they've lost everything, now they join the crusade, or not the crusade, the jihad. And by the way, isn't that an interesting idea? How language is used. We know that if you go on a holy crusade, that's a good thing. A crusade is good. You have a just cause. You have a holy cause. But a jihad, well, that's evil. And an awful religion. Um, but the point is that these people weren't on their jihad before. Um, but I'm afraid they will be now. We create more enemies for ourselves. This is what Colonel McGregor talked about, and I'll wrap this up. Is He talked about insurgent math. If you have 20 insurgents and you kill two of them, how many do you have? You have 38 because you just added 20 more. Um, that's that's not that's just not the way. We're going to fight the war forever. It's going to escalate. The Houthis have said that they will meet our escalation with their escalation. So naturally, after they and by the way, here's the wild thing. This is apparently what people don't quite grasp is that somehow, and it's true, uh, that the Houthis have attacked our ships, but no Americans have died. The ships have been attacked. Nobody's been killed. I don't know that that's necessarily an accident. I think that they want to send a message. Yes, it's criminal. Yes, it's bad. We don't approve of it. But, there is a difference between the protesters out on the road that are going to knock the side view mirror off your truck and cause problems versus if they're out there with guns shooting people. It can get worse, is the idea. It can get worse. Um, and the way for it to get worse is to escalate. And we've escalated. Now they've vowed to escalate. And, that kind of ties back to what I was talking about a minute ago. Why are the Houthis not recognized? We've acknowledged the Al Qaeda government in Syria since Assad was overthrown. Why don't we acknowledge the Houthis who have overthrown their government? No, but instead we want Al Qaeda to regain control in Yemen. And so if you don't know, and again, to start listening to Scott Horton. Uh, and I'll say this: I think there might be some people that used to listen to Rush Limbaugh. Um, Scott Horton is like Rush in one particular way. Of course, Rush was very much pro-war. He's very gung-ho. Scott's the exact opposite in that regard. But in one particular way, that if you listen to Rush Limbaugh for an hour or one show or maybe two shows, you don't quite get it. You have to. Rush is the kind of guy that you need to listen to for weeks, and you get it. You get where he's coming from, and he starts to make sense. And I think it might be for different reasons, but Scott Horton is very much the same way. Is I think it's just the overwhelming amount of history and information and the details that you have to get right to understand where everybody's at. But and this is what I was trying to say, is that one of those details is um, that the Houthis are fighting Al Qaeda, and we're helping Saudi Arabia um, defeat the Houthis so that Al Qaeda can gain control of the Yemenese government, or gain control of the government in Yemen. Here's an idea. Keep this in your mind. Put a pin in this. Remember that all 19 of the 9/11 hijackers came from what country? They all came from Saudi Arabia. Okay. So it's, look, we're not doing a good job. I don't think we're doing a good job of picking out the winners and the picking out, not the winners. Uh, we're not doing a very good job of picking out the good guys over there. And frankly, and this is an idea too, is that maybe there are no good guys. Maybe they're all bad. Maybe we should just leave it alone, keep our tax dollars here, keep our soldiers here, defend our southern border, put America first, and let the rest of the world deal with it. And I'm going to try and tie this in to a conservative idea, is that government, if you look to government to solve the problems, then I don't think that's very conservative. And that is what we do to a great extent with an active, overactive foreign policy, that we're going to use the might of the American government, which the military is a branch of the government. We're going to use the government to fix problems over there. That's not what I want to do. I want to let them solve their own problems, and we will put America first, secure our border, and let the rest of the world have it. Um, so, like always, if you disagree, let me know why. Um, if you can, visit the website, and I'm not. Oh, visit the group. Share the show. We're going to start trying to grow the audience, get it bigger. Um, we've got to get a new phone, a show phone that I don't have to deal with 35 calls and text during the show. We got to do that. Um, so I'm gonna ask for your help on that. But for right now, I'm gonna bounce out of here. Next week is going to be interesting. Uh, we might have Gloria Bannister on, um, who's running for GOP vice chair. We've got the uh, state convention coming up soon. I think it's about the first weekend in May. Uh, don't hold me to that, but it's starting to get here. Um, but there's some issues there, and I can't really speak on that because I just don't know enough about it. but I'm happy to have uh, different folks on different sides come on and hash it out and talk about it. Um, do, 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 do. Anyway, I think that's it. I feel like there's always something I forget to throw out there, but oh, that's right. So Gloria may come on. Uh, a lady named Naya might come on and join me to talk about education. We're going to play it by ear between now and then, see who's available when. And next week, either way, next week will be an interesting show. So share it. It's Mondays at noon, and we're out there on Rumble and YouTube and all the rest. So, hey, we're out of here. Thanks for